So we're at the Duke Cancer Center. You know, I've been through chemotherapy, I've been through treatment, so I know what it's like to sit in that chair, and we're here to provide support for an awesome guy named RJ. And you know, a lot of battles that men go through, especially during a cancer diagnosis, is mental. So we're here to hang out and share stories and have a laugh, and you know, just spend some time with somebody that needs that community. Hello. We're here to visit RJ in room 5229. At the Raleigh Testicular Cancer Foundation, we have a few important arms to our mission. You know, providing education and awareness, not just about testicular cancer, but you know, breaking down stigmas associated with men's health is really important to us. But what makes us really unique and where we feel we're really making a difference in the community is our patient support program, and that includes showing up in person. Going through treatment myself, having people show up and sit with me during treatment was really important to me. Most of my family was up in Canada. I had my dad here, which was my caregiver, and he spent some time in the cancer center with me, but also having you know, clients and friends and people in the community that showed up to the cancer center and sat with me and discussed life was really important part of the journey. And so when we started the charity, we thought that, you know, providing that boots on the ground, in person, psychosocial support was so important for our organization. Maybe it would be cool to just like, yeah, maybe just explain like how we got here to today. Like you got diagnosed the first time.
Yeah, so I can
went through some treatment. And,
I can start at the beginning.
Yeah.
So last July, actually on my mom's birthday. That's why I will never forget it. It was on my mom's birthday on the 23rd. I had a doctor's appointment to check out a hard spot on my testicle. And so I told my mom, I'm just going for a physical. I'll be fine. I'm going to go, come back. My doctor was like, my PCP, he was like, I was like, what do you think it is? He's like, obviously they're not going to be like, it's cancer, right? So he was just like, you know what? Just in case, I want to get an ultrasound on this. It could be epidermitis, something like that. And so I was like, okay, a little bit of stress there, but I'm all right, fine. So I started and made an appointment for a ultrasound. Went back home that day, you know, celebrated with my mom, cut the cake, and then I was like, all right, we're cool. Still on the back of my mind. Then I went to go get the ultrasound, which was very awkward, having an ultrasound done on your testicles.
Yeah.
And there's like two people feeling around for it, and I guess the lump was bigger than, like, you know how in high school they're like an eraser-sized bump. But I guess I've been holding off for so long, it was like half my testicle was like hard. And so obviously the people at the ultrasound won't say anything either. They'd be like, no, we'll just send it over to like an oncologist or your doctor or something. And then I was like, okay, a little bit more worried. And then I went to a urologist. And then from there, he was no, actually I went to an oncologist at Duke, separate from Dr. Ramalingam. And they're like, yeah, it is like most likely a cancer. And you're gonna have to get it removed, and then we'll check it out. We'll see what's going on. Then I went to the urologist. The urologist said the same thing, and he was gonna do the surgery. Once the surgery, like, you know, I got my mind around it, it's just one surgery, I'll be fine. Got it removed, and then about 3 days later, once I was home and recovering, I got a call from my urologist saying, hey, we just did the biopsy. It is metastatic cancer, like non-seminoma or pure I don't remember all the words. But it's not a bad thing, but I do have to go through some chemo. And then that's when like everything started. I got lucky and got connected with Dr. Ramalingam, who one of my like family's friends also saw, and they're like, go to this guy, he's the best. And like, apparently he was. Like, everybody I meet is like, oh, Dr. Ramalingam's amazing, and all this kind of stuff. Like, great. So I didn't have to like shop around. So, so I started seeing Dr. Ramalingam, and then I started, then everything got the ball rolling. I did like, that's when his PA or nurse or something, they connected me with everyone, and then they gave me your phone number. They gave her they gave you my phone number. And then before the first round, we met at like some burger place.
That's right.
And I think immediately I didn't realize how much easier it is to talk to someone who's been through the same thing or like similar things. Because like, you know, you can talk to everyone and they're going to be like very empathetic, or is it sympathetic? The one that you can be without experiencing it yourself.
Yeah.
And then it's a lot easier talking to someone who's actually been through it, and it's easier to joke about stuff. And then we met, and then I went through BEP for 9 weeks. It was 3 rounds of 3 weeks. Got a CAT scan after that, and then Dr. Amalingam was like, "You're cured." I was like, "Beautiful, I'm cured. There's nothing left." Got my port removed the next week. Like, I was like, I'm getting this thing off my chest. And then I was all good. I started exercising again because that's a big part of my life. I started exercising. And then I started getting my monthly scans or quarterly scans. And then I like pulled my hip flexor, which again was maybe a good thing that happened because it made me want to go to the doctor. Because the first time I honestly wouldn't have gone to the doctor if the testicle that had the cancer in it wasn't like, it got slightly infected. It had some sort of infection I had to take medicine for. But that's the only thing that took me to the doctor. And then this time again, I pulled my my hip flexor, tried to go some physical therapy. It wasn't really working. So I went to the doctor. We did an MRI, my pelvic area, the same area. And it looked like the cancer's come back. The same area of lymph nodes. One of them like grew again to like 6 or 7 centimeters. And then I was like, oh God, here we go again. So I went to Dr. Ramalingam. He was like, yeah, there was a small 5% chance that like this happens. It comes back if it comes back aggressively within 3 months, then this is the new program. This, whatever I'm going through now, which is like 2 rounds of TIP and then another 2 rounds of high dose chemo with some stem cell replacement. And so now that's what we're going through. Like he says, you know, just like the first time, they're like, you know, it's curable and it's been done. And even though this was only like a 5% chance for it to come back, but out of everybody who like, you know, gets this aggressive thing and then goes through this program, this treatment plan, it's still pretty standardized. Like, I'm not doing any clinical trials. I'm not doing nothing too crazy. But it is a little different this time, I feel like, because it's like, well, you know, it's more aggressive, so we got to attack it aggressively. But, you know, we did chemo and then it came back, and then it's like, now it's like kind of unknown. Like you were talking about, like, you know, you don't have to go through scans anymore. But like, now what? You know, like, you don't know what's going to happen. So I'm like the same thing. Like, I'm going through this. Hopefully it comes back and then they don't tell me, they're like, oh, well, there's like another 2% chance that maybe it can come back again. But this treatment seems pretty intense. So I'm just keeping my head up, trying to get through it. You know, I got 3 days left here. Then I got all the processing to do for the high dose chemo, and then I get that started. And I get a full 28 days before my second cycle. So.
And what about like you talked about like the fear of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked a lot kind of maybe the first time when I first met you about trying to find the positives, right? And one of the things I mentioned was like, well, thank God they caught it early, right? And like most men, like hesitated to go to the doctor, really had a different reason to go. But thankfully, when caught early, you still have lots of really good options, right? And the percentage of curability is still really high. Not only like the first time around, but even now, easy for my seat in this story, right? To say, well, thank God you had the issue and had to get another scan done. But, you know, with testicular cancer specifically, catching it early and encouraging men to perform self-checks and go to the doctor when you have something that's ailing you really is important, right?
Especially if you're concerned, like even if you're like 5% concerned, like, oh, I don't know if there's anything there, like everybody's gonna be a professional. Your PCP is gonna be a professional. Like you go in there and be like, hey, I need you to check this out and make sure it's all good, because like I don't think they teach you enough. And there's like you get a health science class in high school.
Yeah.
And it's like half the time you're in the gymnasium, and the other half you're in the health science class, where they don't really care. Nobody's really like, oh, it's on the syllabus. We got to talk about, we got to talk about cancer related stuff and prevention and all that kind of stuff. But it's a 5-minute lesson. It's like, hey, check yourself. But then again, you're talking to a bunch of 16, 17, 18-year-olds. You start talking about balls and they just start giggling in the back. Nobody's really like paying attention.
Which is incredible, because it's the most common cancer for men 15 to 35. It's the most common cancer for people in the military, for people, for firefighters and first responders. It's the most common cancer. So you'd think that,
it'd take it a little bit more seriously.
Take it a little more serious.
I mean, we could talk about like the first treatment we went through, like, because we both went through BEP.
Yeah.
And I think you had 4 rounds.
I had 3 rounds.
You had 3 rounds.
Yeah, 3 rounds of BEP.
So we had like the same.
Yep.
It's like a 3-week.
Yeah.
So, BEP, I don't remember. It's bleomycin, etoposide, and cisplatin.
Yeah.
And it's given every day. They're not all given every day, but it's like a 5-day regime where, you drive in. It's usually like you get to go home every day for BEP. So you drive in, they hook you up, and you kind of just sit there and entertain yourself with friends or with like a TV show or something for about 5 to 6 hours, and they just pump you full of fluids and the chemo. And the one thing I wasn't expecting, that one of my nurses told me, it's like right before we started, we're like, you're gonna have to go to to the bathroom a lot.
All the time.
All the time, like a fucking racehorse. Like my nurse was very straightforward with me, and it was great, because like I didn't know the first thing about it, because the doctor's like, you're gonna do this regime, but the people who really like administer it and like help you are the nurses.
Yeah.
And so you sit there for a couple hours. The first few days you feel fine, and then you go home, you're really tired, because like you haven't done anything. You've just been sitting in a chair all day, but you're exhausted. And then it's like, why? It's because, well, the inside of your body is actively fighting the chemo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like chemo in general is necessarily just slowly killing you. I think that's the idea. It kills you in the hopes that it also kills the cancer. It's kind of just like spray painting something and trying to make sure the little spot just like also gets like, covered over.
It's a whirlwind for anybody that gets diagnosed with cancer, right? I think for all of us that have that experience, you're meeting oncologists, you're meeting nurse navigators, you're given a binder, you're researching online, but you really have no idea what it's going to be like to actually live it and experience it. All the chemos are very different, right? So different types of cancers have different types of chemo regimes. And so one thing that I've learned is chemo across the board is very different with different people's bodies. Everybody reacts differently. With testicular cancer specifically, it's really curable because of the chemo regimen, right? So before 1980, testicular cancer was a death sentence. The cure rate was less than 5%. And Dr. Einhorn, who helped come up with the bleomycin, etoposide, and cisplatin mixture of chemotherapy, really ended up coming up with something that saved hundreds of thousands of lives. And so I know chemo and kind of modern medicine sometimes gets a bad rap. With testicular cancer, it's like, man, it's something that saves so many lives, right? And that description of chemo, right? The chemo is literally killing and breaking down all of the cells in your body, not just the bad ones, which are cancer cells, which are dividing too quickly, creating tumors and blockages inside your lymphatic system and inside your body, but it's also killing all the good cells. And so, that's what makes you feel poorly and fatigued. And one thing I always say too is like, I got a real appreciation for the human body and what it's capable of doing, right?
Yeah.
The ability for it to fight back. And
Hello.
you got to take vitals? Yeah, but you're right. I bet so many people go in for other things, and then while they're there, they're like, oh, let's run some tests for this, and then all of a sudden something else pops up. Mine was my heart condition. I went in for the heart condition. I have left bundle branch block, so the left side of my heart doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I went in for that, and while I'm there, I'm like, yeah, why don't you check this bump on my testicle?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, what is it? What's the bump even like? It's just like a hard
Yeah,
bump
it's
that
it just
protrudes
feels,
from your
it
testicle?
doesn't really, for mine,
Everybody's
it
is
protrudes,
different,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody's is different, but it's like, you know what your testicle feels like a little rubber, almost kind of rubber squishy
Yeah.
ball, and like anything that's not that,
Exactly.
you have to get looked.
It's that simple.
Is it attached or is it like
Yeah, it's
floating
attached.
in there?
No, it's attached.
Yeah.
So some people's were like mine, where it feels like a peanut. So imagine like a peanut
Yeah.
on the testicle, like a hard peanut that's like attached to it.
Does it hurt?
No.
No.
Mine was inside.
Yeah. So guys like RJ, sometimes it grows from the inside, so it enlarges the testicle.
Yeah.
So now the testicle might be like twice the size, or it might be like have like a different shape to it.
Yeah.
So like you like feel it one day and you're like, wait a second, that
Yeah.
doesn't
It's a
feel
little
normal.
Interesting.
That is the easiest way to, I always describe it. It's like, dude, you know what your balls feel like.
Because like I think when people talk about it, my mind immediately goes to like you have this massive protrusion that's like undeniable. You know.
If it gets to that point, it sucks.
Yeah, if you've let it, there's some guys let it get to the point where it's like massive. It's like, what were you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
How are you feeling right now?
Right now I'm good, but I'm like, I can tell that I'm tired.
oh yeah.
It's been a few days of chemo now, so it's starting to like hit, but better today than I would have been tomorrow, that's for sure.
So RJ's got to do some high dosage, and so sometimes when the cancer comes back, or it's like a really pesky, aggressive testicular cancer, what they'll do is they'll do a chemotherapy regimen, but they'll do it at a really extreme high dosage, and because of that, your body, like we were talking about, all of the cells break down to a level that is more extreme than kind of your normal, BEP regimen.
Yeah.
And so to allow your body to get through that, you do a stem cell transplant where RJ is going to take, shots that will boost his immune system, and his bone marrow will spit out, millions of white blood cells that will then get collected. So that'll then be used during your high dosage treatment to kind of help your body fight back. But that's what I was talking about too. Like I know everybody's different, right? Every guy goes through their kind of cancer journey differently. Some people kind of put their head down and their blinders on and they're in survival mode. For me, I definitely had those moments and those windows where like wasn't talking to anybody. I was probably depressed. I kind of was, my focus was really, really narrow. But I also decided to kind of look around and take a lot of it in and try to learn from what I was going through and what other people were going through. And for me, it was like, the human body is incredible. Like this idea that not only was it sick and it had something in it that was really dangerous, but like it could endure chemo, and it can like, I can be so sick, but yet it can fight so hard, right? And then going through a surgery, and it's incredible to think about what the human body is capable of. And I think it gives you an appreciation for it, especially as I think you work your way into survivorship, right? I know you talked about getting back to lifting, and I know that's a goal, once we get through this chapter again, but gosh, just having such a, like, filled with gratitude of the human body and how lucky we are to be able to move and to fight off viruses and all of that.
It's like they say, like when you're healthy, you have a million different problems.
Yeah.
But when you're sick, you have one problem. And that's just getting back to being healthy.
Yes.
And like, Yeah, like you said, like there are those days where you just want to put your head down. It's like probably by the end of this week till like early or late next week, I'm gonna be sleeping. Just talking like this
Yeah.
is exhausting.
Yeah.
Not right now, but like during that time period.
Yeah. I told
Yeah.
Josh that when he was trying to find me in the parking lot,
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey, I'm on the roof. I
Yeah.
park on the 5th floor."
Yeah.
And when I come to the cancer center to spend time here now, I will purposely park on the 5th floor so that I have to walk down the 5 flights of stairs. Because when I was getting treatment, doing those 5 flights of stairs was exhausting.
Yeah.
Right? Like just getting
yeah.
up those flights was like a big freaking deal. So now when I come here, I'm like, oh man, I got to park there every time to remind myself, like, how lucky am I that I can walk those 5 flights of stairs.
Exactly. Like,
you know?
I'm telling you, like even there are days where I'm parking on the 2nd floor and I'm taking the elevator down.
Yeah.
Like I just can't.
Yeah.
And like the things that little decisions like that, like one of the biggest things is like when I go to the grocery store or something, I'm not looking for one parking spot that's just close enough to the grocery store. I'm gonna go park in the back where all the bad people are not parking
Yeah.
or good at parking, and then walk the extra 4 or 5 minutes that
Yeah.
it takes to go into the store. And it's like, and I can do that and I'm not breathing hard
Yeah.
and I'm not like exhausted. And it's like, it really is like something else to see like the lowest of the lows during chemo and then just doing simple everyday tasks after chemo.
Yeah.
And like you were saying, like during chemo, you can get like really down and depressed and all that kind of stuff, but that's why you have to have a good support group. Like, and for the people who don't have a good support group, like the stuff that you're doing is extremely helpful. And like contacting people who being able to talk to people who've been through the same thing. Like I personally, before I was as involved, I'm just scouring Reddit. There's r/testicular cancer on Reddit.
Yeah.
And I read all of the posts, like everybody's experiences, and there's talk of Dr. Einhorn all the time. Apparently his email's open. If you want a second opinion, he'll respond to your email. And so it's just like stuff like that that like gets you through, especially on your lowest days.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because I know for me, and I'm sure a lot of men feel this way, you do realize when you get sick that you're on your own, right? That like your singular body and mind has to fight this, right? It's very lonely. You feel like you're on an island. But having that community and having that support, especially on like a local level, right? So I think for all of us as humans, you have like your immediate community, which is like your family, right? So your siblings and your parents. And then you have your community ring outside of that, which is your really close friends. And then you have maybe a greater community, which is like the people that, you know, you live with and you go to the same grocery stores and bowling alleys and go-kart places. And then of course with like a charity that we've started, we're trying to create a community of men and caregivers and survivors that have kind of all been through the shared experience of cancer, right? And so I think it's so easy to, and not only easy, but I think it's necessary at times to just be on your own and understand that like, I've got to do this, I've got to fight. But when you aren't able to fight anymore or you're too tired, having that community around you there to remind you that, hey, you know, you're not on your own, right?
Yeah.
You've got people fighting for you. You've got people that have done this before you and walked before you. Like how lucky was I that I had people that showed me the way, right? And then I went through it and now I'm trying to show other people the way. And those people like yourself, you're gonna now be the men that have paved the way for those that come beyond you, right? And it's, God, like, aren't we so lucky that we get to do that? Like, it's an amazing opportunity that, and like, man, we're blessed to even be able to have that opportunity to do that, you know?
It's crazy. And like, I really like that point where it's like, where you were saying like, you're really fighting this on your own. It's like, no matter how much of a community you have, like, you know, my dad's with me 24/7. And the reason he's with me 24/7, obviously he loves me, but he can't help.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the hardest part for the people around you that they can't help you fight the cancer.
Yeah.
They give you support, and you know, you have the chemo doing everything, but it's all like they can't help you, and they have to accept that. You know, all they can do is make it better for you, your surroundings, and
Yeah.
like that's really tough. That's like really tough, and that's why like I find it important to like engage with those people who want to help you and like, you know, make it feel better like both ways from both sides.
And as a guy too, right? I mean, we've always been told
Yeah.
as men that we're supposed to, you know, suck it up and be brave and be tough and be courageous. And I think all of those things are true, but sometimes that means being vulnerable and accepting help and providing ways for people around you that can't do it for you, that can't do the treatment for you, ways to feel like they're a part of your journey and a part of your story. And to your point, engaging with those people,
Yeah.
you know, because again, I think I said this to you when we very first met. I learned this. It was like, man, when you get a cancer diagnosis, like you have every reason to be pissed off, annoyed, scared, upset. And you kind of have like a fork in the road with two options. And you can be bitter and angry and, you know, mad at the universe.
That doesn't sound fun.
Right? Or you can like carry it and you can strap that shit on your back and say, you know what, this does suck. And, you know, I have every reason to be upset, but I'm going to be brave and I'm going to be courageous and I'm going to do everything I can to make this experience as positive as I can make it, because that gives you the best fight and that gives you the best chance, right? And that doesn't mean that you don't have moments where you're pretty broken and pretty upset and pretty mad at the world, but man, it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all, you know?
Yeah. I think, no, I choose not to complain. I think I've just been like that even before the chemo, because I just had this thing, like, just complaining gets you nowhere for me personally. It just makes me feel worse. It makes the people around me feel worse. I can, like, you know, what's it called? Like, I can, like, talk shit, but, like, just complaining for the act of complaining, it doesn't make me feel better.
A lot of the decision making for you gets taken away when you get cancer, right? So there's all these things that are out of your control. And I think for you to say, you know what, I'm still in control of some things. I'm still in control of areas of my life. And one of those things is I'm going to choose how to act and how to view this, right?
Yeah.
And one of those things is, you know, not complaining, right?
The best thing you can do is, like, make your reaction to your situation good.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in any, like, this is outside of cancer, just in life personally. Like, you can't control your environment, but you can control your, like, reaction to the environment.
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
you know, a little bit of philosophy in there for you.
Yeah.